ask if since we're not using a slide, we could turn the light off, as it's pretty hard to look out at the audience. And so, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, let me get myself together. We're gonna now ask Miss Paula Montgomery to come up. She's gonna be talking about the school to prison pipeline. Oh, and as she's coming up, there are some seats here. I see at least 3 seats out here. There's one here and then one over this way.
Good evening. Can people hear me okay? I can't tell what the volume is on this. The school to prison pipeline is an unfortunate name for a very unfortunate situation, and that is that the harshness of the punishments that are meted out within the school, including expulsions. I'm not talking about beatings now, I'm talking about just expulsions, but this and also detentions and overreaction to a childish misbehavior of some sort, and also from time to time actually arrests within the school. All of these things disrupt the educational process for that child, and the child is more likely, after even one suspension, to drop out before they finish high school. And if they drop out, then they don't have the education. And if they don't have the education, then they're not equipped to be as productive a person as they could be in society. And another big problem is that so many of the children who are arrested, either in the schools or on the streets, end up then with a record which inhibits them for the rest of their lives for even just voting, if it's a felony, but also from getting certain licenses, getting a good job. They go and apply, and there's a box that says, have you ever been convicted of a felony? And you check that box and you don't get the interview, no matter how good you are. So this is a tremendous problem. And that's what it is that we had a series of programs about. There's a quote that I like. Other people like quotes, and I do too. And this one is attributed to Thomas Jefferson, and I'm not sure that he really said it first. But eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. It's the price of justice. It's the price of getting what we want out of life. You have to pay attention. Eternal vigilance. Especially to the people that we elect, what they say, and after they get in office, what they do, and what the results are of whatever they put in place. The School to Prison Pipeline series of programs that I gave, in collaboration with the League of Women Voters and the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Coffee Party and the Escambia Youth Justice Coalition and the ACLU, a whole group of people. I certainly didn't do it by myself. But at any rate, there were this group of programs that we put on starting in August of 2015. And the purpose of all of those programs was to make people aware of the problems that were going on in our schools and in our justice system that people really weren't aware of. So we weren't properly protecting our children, our most precious asset. The statistics on the kind of job that our institutions are doing reflects that too many of our children were not graduating from high school. You can find those statistics in the newspaper and online and everywhere else. They've recently improved a little bit, and I'm glad of that. But the statistics shows that our children are not graduating from high school at the rate that we would like. And furthermore, too many of the children of color are disproportionately not finishing high school. Out of proportion to if you think about how many black and brown children there are in the population, and you look at how many graduate, a bigger percentage of black and brown children do not graduate from high school. Too many of our children are being arrested and sent into adult court and then into adult prison, where they are convicted as adults and have a conviction record as felonies. And I'm talking about children. When I say too many, well, any is too many, but Escambia County has more in-school arrests and more children who are tried as adults than any other county in Florida. And Florida leads the nation in these same statistics. So unfortunately, where we live is kind of the worst of the worst. This is very unhappy, which is why we need to shine a light on this system and show it, not just to ourselves, educate ourselves, but show it to the world, show it to all of the people in our community, and let them know. The statistics don't lie. We need a very bright light. And we need to demand corrections for things that we find. Now, I'm not accusing anybody who is employed in any of these systems for being deliberately racially biased. But the statistics are that the system is biased. And the problem with its disproportional impact has been obvious to the black community forever. And it's the white people who I wanted to really make sure that we educated about what was going on, because they frequently just didn't know. They were not aware. And they are the people who can serve as allies. We need a very bright light to do this. We need to wake them up. We need to make them see. The public programs that started in August of 2015 were a beginning. We've also written viewpoints to be in letters to the editors and put them in the newspaper. And we've been on the radio and we've been interviewed on TV, always trying to shine the light on the problem. The programs, each of them has been attended by anywhere from 80 to 120 people. So a lot of people are getting exposed. A lot of those people are the same people over and over, and that's good. Get them fired up, have them go out educated to tell other people about it. So a lot of people are hearing the message, and the message is that the system is really not serving any of our citizens, black or white. It's costly in lives lost to poverty due to lack of education or to imprisonment, and it's costly in the inability of the community to attract good businesses to come here because we don't have the educated workforce that we need. It's costly to the tax base of our community. How much taxes can you get if you are impoverishing a large percentage of your people? Then without that tax base, we can't get things done that we want to get done. We can't insist on clean water and clean air and good infrastructure and good roads for everybody and stormwater and all of that stuff. We just don't have the money for it if we don't have the tax base. So whatever issue in our community is of concern to you, the school-to-prison pipeline is undermining your ability to get it and to get it right. The hopeful things that I see, now I've depressed everybody, so the hopeful things that I see is that more and more people are talking about this problem. There are more and more groups that are looking at it in a very precise way. The Escambia Youth Justice Coalition actually led the way with all of this about 5 or 6 years ago, and they advocated for something called civil citations instead of arresting youthful offenders and giving them a record. If this is a first or second time offense for the child, and it was a non-violent offense, then at the discretion of the law enforcement officers, they can be given a civil citation if their parents agree. I mean, there are a lot of steps that you have to go through, but this is a big improvement. And that got implemented several years ago, and if you read Tuesday's newspaper and saw the big headline with the 2 handcuffs and read that our statistics on giving out civil citations and not arresting kids has improved. And that is good news. And I think it's because people are becoming aware and they are requesting change. and just change is going to come. You also can read statistics from the Studer Institute that get put in the paper from time to time, and you'll see that attention is being paid to all of these problems. If you watch what the United Way is doing, it's working with education. Achievus Gambia wants to have from birth to the cradle to career. They want improvements made in it. How all of that goes with children, taking care of our children, doing the things that we ought to be doing for them. People are paying attention, and this is what I find hopeful. In the newspaper, I've seen articles about collaborative efforts by a lot of different organizations, the big boys, the movers and shakers in town, and they're getting interested. In fact, for a while I served on the education committee for the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce, they were interested. Everybody's getting interested. They understand, they're beginning to understand how very important this is. As looking at the justice system, the League of Women, the Florida State League of Women Voters has recently set up a juvenile justice committee with the goal of reducing the number of children who get turned over to adult courts, which is a big problem, and to increase the use of civil citations, which is hopeful, and to make sure that juveniles have adequate attorney representation when they do get to court. So those are the three big goals. This is a committee that just got started, and we are planning to look at these things carefully, come up with suggestions, and take them to the legislature. When you have a statewide organization behind you, hopefully you can get a little more done. We did actually achieve the redistricting. Took us 70 years, but yeah, we got it. We got it. And then also, just look at the people in this room. This is another very hopeful thing. With Julie Patton and the social work department at the university, getting our community to come together, not as a black community and a white community, but as a community, all of us working together. So I see all this attention as the awakening of a sleeping giant. When that bright light is shown in dark places, people can't ignore it. They begin to see what's going on. The progress may seem terribly slow to people who are in the process, but we have to take one step at a time and speak up, pay attention. Since a lot more of us are paying attention than ever before, I have a lot of hope. We just need to keep our eyes on the prize and hold on. Last Sunday at the Unitarian Universalist Church where I attend, our minister, the Reverend Dr. Julie Kane, read some words that I found both healing and encouraging, and I'm going to close with those. She didn't attribute them to anyone, so I guess she wrote them, and I'm going to take a few liberties with them myself. Don't leave your broken heart at the door. Bring it in. Bring it into the room. Bring it into the altar of life. Don't leave your anger out there. It has high standards, and we need the words and the vision that come from this. Bring them with you. Also bring your joy, bring your passion, bring your loving, bring your courage and your conviction, bring your need for healing, and bring your power to heal. There's work to do, and you and I, we have all that we need to do it right in this room. Thank you.